Hello, 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 all you modern mystics out there joining my site, my YouTube page, my blog, everything. Hari Om, welcome, namaste, and all that good stuff. So, I am currently at the yoga studio that I teach at, Golden Heart Yoga in downtown Washington, D.C. Um, we're about to do a fundraiser workshop for the DC Gay and Lesbian Center. So it's a really great night for community. And one of the reasons we were going to do the workshop was not too long ago, a yoga instructor named Michael Hall and his partner were viciously attacked while they were walking home, and the community really rallied together. They helped him cover his medical costs, gave him enough money to get him back on his feet and into a new place. So it was really great to see the power of community. So it actually turned out that he no longer needed any money. So we decided that we would in turn donate the money to the DC Gay and Lesbian Center as an outreach for their programs that have to do with education, especially in regards to hate crimes. I've also been teaching yoga for the Gay and Lesbian Center now for about almost 3 years now. We're going on to our third year. And I teach a Bears Do Yoga program, which is just phenomenal. And I think the reason why I really want to do this video, just a quick video before class starts, is community is something that in this area especially has been tested, challenged, and at some points fractured. So I think it's important for us to define what community is and how we interact and interplay with those around us in that space. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about what's happened here locally in the DC pagan community, but it really gave us all a time to reflect on what it does mean to be in community, and to also take ownership of where we are in those spaces, and to also have our voices heard within those spaces. It's important for us to connect outwards. In this time where it seems where things are just more chaotic in general, we don't have to believe in a 2012 philosophy to understand that and to see that things around us are not necessarily going into that stream of light, but there's a lot of chaotic energy that is coming in. Spiritual communities are not immune to that, especially when spiritual communities are run like corporations or businesses. I think the big lesson for a lot of us is to not drop our spirituality when things get tough. One of the first things that we saw here in some of the upheaval locally was I was surprised at how quickly spiritual people unravel their spirituality to become less than the spiritual self. And a lot of that is ego. A lot of that is we really want to have our voice be the one that's heard. And it's important to have that. But at the same time, if we are truly desiring to enter into the spiritual realm of connecting into the spiritual community in that sense, we can't lose that sense of spirituality. That has to be something that we hold on to, something that we engage in. A lot of people were tossing just minutia back and forth, calling people names, calling out groups, calling out each other. And the thing that bloggers blogging about the minutia, stirring the cauldron, stirring the pot, stirring the energy, and not a positive way. And it took so long for the actual discussion on how healing was going to enter into this space. And in a spiritual community, I would hope that our first reaction is how are we going to heal this, not how are we going to cover things up, and how are we going to pull away from certain things, and how are we going to engage in a process of positive dialogue to create stronger foundations for all of us to stand on. So I think this is a good wake-up call for our local communities here. Even my group, I host a local meetup group that is more centered on psychic work, psychic development, but we're not immune to those kinds of things either. There's always dynamics of ego that happen within spaces, and sometimes in spiritual spaces, you get a little bit of that ego space. We're humans living a spiritual experience, but at the same time, we're spiritual beings that need to live in that spiritual space if we're going to claim it. Especially folks who are wearing titles like clergy. I think sometimes we forget that we have this access to so much wonderful and powerful energy that we forget that we can, in fact, invoke that sense of community and connection, that even in the face of upheaval, strife, and chaos, that we as an individual can stand up and say, I'll lead the next session in healing, and let's get this moving in a positive direction versus continuing to move it in a negative direction. So I'm sending love and light to anyone out there who needs it, but especially to our community as we enter into a stage of healing. And I've been asked to be one of the folks that helps facilitate a healing ritual this month. So we're moving in that direction. So things are going to change, and things will always change, and we can either make it a positive learning experience, or we can sit in that negative vibration and continue to fester and allow ourselves to be negative Nellies. So no negative Nellies. Let's all be positive Pollies, I guess. Sounds like a bad episode of Spiritual Jersey Shore. But anyways, so engaging in community. Online communities are beautiful, but remember the tactile human experience is something that's so tangible about the energy shared in an actual exchange. One thing that I'm finding, that's beautiful is the Paradigm Shift radio community that we've started on Blog Talk Radio. And this is a community that's been growing now. And it's a convergence of a lot of different people coming together to talk about just about everything, really. Everything spiritual, non-spiritual. We've had discussions spanning the gamut from esoteric thought to just, breathing. The idea is to have conversations, to open yourself up to new realities, but to create community. And community doesn't necessarily need to be like 1,000 people. It can be you and one other person sitting down to have dialogue. And the dialogue doesn't have to be something you agree on. It can just be dialogue. The idea is to question our reality, to create new realities for ourselves. Some of the old Ram Dass talks that I've been finding on YouTube are him actually doing debates with other great thinkers and taking opposing viewpoints and actually engaging in that kind of dialogue is also positive. As long as you can do it without invoking anger, fear, and grief or guilt in those spaces. The idea is have positive dialogue. We don't have to all agree. The idea is for us to have conversation. Conversation isn't calling each other names, calling each other out, pointing fingers, and just being in that negative space. But if your voice isn't being heard, speak up. If you're feeling like you're not part of the process, become part of the process. But yeah, so that's just kind of, I wanted to just put that out there because tonight is going to be a very positive night for community. So go out and engage yourself in your local communities. If you haven't yet, do so. And if you don't have a local community, a spiritual community or otherwise, start one. It only takes one person with a really great idea to change the entire world around them. We are all creators in that sense, and we are all power manifestors if we choose to be. So choose to be, in this moment, that person that goes out and changes the world. All right, folks, all you spiritual warriors, all you beautiful, beautiful beings of love, light, through the heart center space, I send you all of my blessings. This is Mahayogi Das for another edition of, I guess we'll call this Modern Mystic Minute or something. Anyways, peace out and namaste.